Butters, welcome to Deathwish Disciples. You are my discipline buddy. um, we got a bunch of stuff going on, and I just realized that I haven't heard anything from you about whether or not you're bringing a mower to King of Trimmers 2021. What's up? Do you have a trimmer plan?
There is no current plan. I've thought about it. I don't know of a current mower to use, but I've debated about trying to throw something together. It's coming up pretty quick.
Yeah, it's oh, if anybody's just tuning in, don't know what King of the Trimmers is yet. It's something that my buddy Will started like 7, 8 years, 9 years ago. I don't know how long ago, long time ago. It's sort of a spoof on King of the Hammers, which is the world's most difficult single-day off-road race. And he got people to haul lawnmowers all over the country. Like, went out to Johnson Valley, King of the Hammers, and they did their own like unsanctioned little race out in the middle of nowhere. And the premise of it is that you have to have a lawnmower that was essentially stock speeds, mower deck removed, like closed-toe shoes, wear a helmet, safety stuff. It was just to have fun, and you decorate them up. You put headers on the side of the hoods and horns on it, and flashy colors, and go out and have fun with your friends. So there's been a couple of people over the years who have like done 30s or knockoffs of it and tried to do it themselves, and that's fine. They're having fun with their friends, but it's not actually King of the Trimmers unless Will with Heavy Metal Concepts is involved, because he started it. It's his thing. Will's my buddy. I told him I was doing it, and we're bringing it back, and we're doing it for my birthday, and that's really what it is. It's my birthday party. So, we do it April 10th in Epsom, New Hampshire. And if you're watching this, it's probably too late, but stock mower is basically all it is. And then during I don't have it all planned out. I'll figure it out as I go, and it's my birthday. I can make the rules. So I think what's going to happen is we're doing an endurance race. We've got like a legitimate mini motocross track with like log bridges, and then we're going to have a woods loop, and there'll be like a rock garden in there, all stuff that a stock mower can do. But if we do like 20 laps, we'll say we time it for 20 laps. I'd like the race to be about an hour long. If we time it for 20 laps, on the 10th lap, you must turn around and start racing the course in reverse. So like it turns into complete pandemonium on the last half of the race. And 2 hours after the first place finishes is when the next race starts. So you've got 2 hours, take your stock mower, do absolutely any modifications you want for unlimited class high bank oval racing. And this all happens under the lights. We get a bonfire. Sounds like we got a DJ, potentially catered, probably food truck. If you're my friend, come on out. I'd love to hang out with you on my birthday. My birthday is actually April 6th. If you're not my friend, you still want to come hang out, bring a mower and compete. It's not a spectators event. Sorry, that's just not what it is. This isn't an actual event. It's just my birthday party. So, where's your mower? And are you coming?
Yeah, I got to get a mower together.
Yeah, you gonna build a mower?
Yeah, I should do that.
It's gonna be so much fun. I got people coming from like New Jersey and West Virginia, and like Tim Deek, he used to race Ultra 4. I guess he races Ultra 4, but I don't know when the last race he's done is. He's out in New Jersey. He's like, is there room for semi-truck parking? So I don't know if he's bringing U4 car, or at one point he had sent me a link to like a package deal of a bunch of mowers, and like is he bringing a team? I know we bought at least one mower, but yeah, this mower's coming from all over the place. They're gonna have. Kaylee got a trimmer the other day, last weekend, I guess. We got a trimmer for her, and I didn't realize how easy it was to pull the mowing deck off of lawnmowers. For some reason in my mind, it was like always this big hard thing. She did it with no tools in like 5 minutes.
It's almost like designed to come off.
Weird.
Yeah, totally.
So how's your discipline
lost
been,
you.
bud? You been winning?
You there?
No.
Discipline?
Yeah.
Yeah, winning more than losing. Yeah, no. You know what? Yeah, no, yeah.
You've been winning more than losing.
Yeah, winning more
Good.
than losing overall. Steady, more winning than losing
Okay.
on an increasing rate, win to lose ratio.
For the viewers, fill them in on what's like. We got inside lingo here. Discipline used to be a vocabulary word to us. Never actually applied to us until like 8 or 9 months ago. And they're like, wait a minute, I'm the reason why I'm not where I want to be. And once we started applying this new, like, profound self-discipline thing, the world's been working in our favor. So we check in on each other, make sure we're like doing what we're supposed to do. That's why we're discipline buddies.
Yeah. First discipline, buddy. A lot of progress in life already.
Yeah.
Discipline is the equation that gets you to where you want to be.
Yeah, discipline's not a problem. It's an equation.
But it's a tricky one.
Yeah.
Because
it's elusive.
Yeah. And it's the problem, but it's also the solution.
Right. Yeah. Right. Which is why it's the equation.
You know, most problems are not the solution. This one is.
Right.
Lack of needs to be.
It's like
better.
There's a silent, invisible enemy that knows you as well as you know it. And it's you.
The real you that wants to get somewhere.
Yeah, it's a daily battle every single day, all day long, every single task you do. Crazy. And like, I often wonder how much other, like, I don't know, normal people have that same struggle, like with the discipline, how much of it's natural, like nature, nurture, like, you know what I mean? Because like, there's a lot of people that seem like they just got their shit together, but maybe inside they're trying wicked fucking hard and they were just winning.
It does seem to come easy. It appears from the outside, of course, to come easy to some. And at least for me and a lot of people I know, it's not that easy of a thing to have natural.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I know that I've been practicing.
Something to be built there.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been practicing the self-discipline thing for, what has it been, like 8 months, 9 months now? When did we start on this? I think it was like 9 months or so. And it's gotten easier and easier the more I've done it. But like, there's like, you reach new tiers where like your worst day is still your worst day and you're like upset about it. But like when retrospectively, if you look back at a year ago, you know, before I started this journey, my worst day today is probably my best day a year ago.
Yeah.
But still my worst day today, and I'm still upset about it.
Yeah. But in retrospective, over the last couple of years, not a bad day at all.
Yeah. You got kind of crappy service a little bit, huh?
Is it Skippy?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, the video coming through has been Skippy. It's on Wi-Fi, which is way better than my service, but
interesting.
it's also a shitty phone too. You know, like even on its best day, it's still not a BMW. It's like a Kia. So, you know, it performs like one, you know, it's going to do some shit, you know, but it still gets you there.
Daily habit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Daily habit gets something done every day.
Yeah. So I know when cousin Eric was working on his 71, his 4-wheel drive Charger.
Yes.
like in the early stage before crunch time, I was like, you have to at least just do one thing every single day, because that got the ball rolling. That got you started. And then once you're moving, it's like, well, one thing turns into 3, 4 things, and before you know it, like, you can stand back at the end of the night and go, wow, I got a lot done. And are you still there? You've fallen off the foot. Okay, there you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just came back.
Yeah.
I heard you the whole time, but the video like stuck. But sometimes you need a little chaos to boost in the routine of progress.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I've been thinking about it. I don't know how I feel about like disrupting the routine. Like, I'm thinking I'm going to try it out. I think that routine is probably the key to success.
A very big part of it. Like, yes. It is at least 4/5 of the key, for sure.
Okay.
It's a very strong force in actually attaining success, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you, I had a routine where getting progress done wasn't part of the routine. So I had to disrupt the standard routine to forcibly put something else back into the next new daily routine going forward.
Gotcha. So you used chaos to reconstruct your daily routine.
Yeah. Just that's the easiest way to make change in life, is to just throw everything out the fucking window, and then the shit that really matters will immediately come right back to you.
Yeah.
The shit that really matters, you're gonna be forced immediately the next day to get to work. So you're not like, oh, I forgot to go to work. You're gonna be forced to still like go to the grocery store. Like, you're still gonna buy foods. You're still gonna have to show up for like 9, 7/10 of your overalls. Why not mix it up a bit and throw it all out the fucking window?
Yeah.
And then maybe it'll come back like 2% better when it finally rebuilds. Even if it takes a couple of days to rebuild, it'll come back a better percent overall. Happier, better.
Yeah, even if it's only like half a click better, it's still better. But there's also like, okay, so that's a very optimistic point of view. It could also come back messed up.
I guess.
And worse. Like, everything's a balance. So like, oh yeah. Buzz off with all that negative nonsense. I got you.
Yeah, I didn't even know what you're saying, dude. These are words.
It's a problem when you're happy.
Yeah, right? Like, it's such an easy answer.
Yeah.
Easiest way ever to not have problems in life. Choose happiness.
Yeah.
It's so simple.
Yeah.
Then nothing's an issue.
Yeah.
Not so bad.
Great.
People should try it more.
There are some people. I made a post on Facebook, something about like, you get to sort of choose your mood in a lot of ways. You can choose how you react to things. There was some people super triggered. They're like, no, when you got mental issues. I'm like, well, I mean, like, we all have mental issues. Like,
yeah, everybody is fucked up in the head.
Yeah.
Some people hide it better than others, but we're all just as crazy inside.
Yeah. Yeah, we're all the same eye.
Our worst day is our worst day, no matter who you are. Same worst day.
Yeah. It's just a depth of perspective. Like, the worst day of a coddled preteen is a lot different than the worst day of somebody who's been through war, but it's still their worst day.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the response to it is more important than actually what did happen that day.
Right.
Especially for how the next revolving couple days after go. For sure.
Yeah. What do you mean by the next revolving couple of days? Like the Doppler effect, like a gradually spreading effect influenced by a single action. Like, isn't that how we got to where we are? Is literally everything in our past has brought us to where we are right now. Our mindset, our depth of perspective, our way we respond to everything. Yes. So every day builds on
it's just
last day. Oh wow, you're gone. Where'd you go?
I went through some time and space myself. The Wi-Fi shut off in the building, so
Did you overwork it?
I guess so. It's running like everything here, like tenants over there and their house over there, and it is like probably working for sure. There's a computer guy here. He uses a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah,
Everybody's,
those guys work late
it's
at
like
night.
yeah. Nah, he's not working. He's next door. He's sleeping. He's like a fix it during the day computer, not like a IT crazy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, not like a
Yeah,
gamer.
they like figured out the system. He's not doing it for anybody or any of that stuff. Smart, like people that use their brain to make money.
Right.
Those kind of people.
Yeah, I'd like to do that a little bit because that's scalable. I think.
Yeah.
It appears to be scalable.
Yeah, a lot of people seem to have figured it out.
Yeah.
I haven't yet, but I'm hoping that this is the year of transitioning from all money for labor to at least 50-50 money for thinking, money for labor, I'd say.
Yeah. It's a big number.
Yeah. But like you gotta just go big or go home. Like otherwise what are we doing? It's gonna take forever to get there. What gets you done now?
Yeah, you're right. No time like now.
Yeah.
Or tomorrow. I like tomorrow a lot.
Yeah, tomorrow seems to always be there when you need her to take care of all your shit you should have done today.
Yeah.
Oh, she'll take it. No problem. Always there.
Speaking of tomorrow, I got a project for tomorrow. Like not tomorrow, but another tomorrow. The Hilux just showed back up. Derek with Calculated Chaos dropped it off. So, big news. Big news with Derek from Calculated Chaos. He sold. He still has Calculated Chaos. He's still doing his thing. Sort of ish. He's gonna go back to the dealership. From what I've gathered from talking with him was that basically like he loves the core of what he did at Calculated Chaos, which was tuning and estimated science, and even loved the wrenching. And the problem that he had was everything it takes to run a business around the part that you love made the part that you love terrible and you hated it. So it's what you're willing to put up with. Like, 'cause you talk to other people in the business, in the industry, they've been doing it a long time, and they go, oh yeah, I deal with all the same shit. And it's like, they're not better at it. They're just more willing to put up with it. And he just decided it wasn't for him. He wants to try something else. Like he knows he makes great money in a dealership. He's been doing it for a long time. He was foreman. He's basically going to go back to a similar role, and everything's going to get put back to the way it was, which is good for him. Easy transition. And he's still going to tune. It's not going to be his full-time gig. And like a lot of his problem was trying to run a business, especially new. You gotta like be concerned with pricing. And then you get a lot of people nickel and diming, and like really bad, like price shopping, and that's part of what kills it. Like the amount of people in my inbox is like, hey, how much for this? How much for that? And the people that just never follow through. It's staggering. It's got to be 85% or more. 90% people don't follow through. It's wasting your time when they don't follow through. Not that their intention is to waste your time. Time wasters. And he's just going to charge a little bit more money, and that's going to weed out the people he doesn't want to work for anyways, because they're nickel and dimers, and he's worth it.
Yeah. Keep it where it's worth it.
He's good at what he does. Do only what you do. Don't do the whole business. Don't run the shop. Have the overhead. Own the building. Get rid of all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he dropped the Hilux off today because he's, cleaning out and finishing up what he's got done and moving back in the next couple of weeks to the dealership.
Yeah.
But I haven't really touched the Hilux in a long time. Like, it had this, it retired after living a long, hard life as a work truck in Arizona and had been essentially abandoned for like 10, 15 years, sitting in the desert. And then I gave it this like Hail Mary reunion tour, or a couple of years where it just like if the truck could have a character and come back, it'd be like a David Mann painting, like it's a skeleton riding a chopper, smashing through the gates of hell, and like a eagle soaring next to you, with like the ghost Indian riding the horse through the desert scene. Like that would be that truck, like just a full-on attack.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's a good van mural.
Yeah. Definitely.
So yeah, it did this like crazy Hail Mary tour, and I'm on transmission 12 or 13. I'm just putting together engine 13 right now, and I get a lot of flack about the engines and like how many I go through, and like if you don't actually really in-depthly follow my story, which I expect no one to, you'd be like, oh, 13 engines, you must have a terrible tuner or this or that. And like, it's pure neglect and abuse and ignorance. Like no gauges because I don't want to know, not because like I'm lazy, because like I literally don't want to know. It's time to party and I'm going to do what I got to do. And if it blows up, it blows up. So I blow a lot of motors up. None of it's been tuning related. No filters on the turbo. I think I lost one engine to that, potentially two, but I don't know. One engine, like 24,000 miles of hard, like unfiltered abuse. Anything is like, especially when you're boosted, and it's a good life for a used race engine,
Yeah, exactly. It's not designed for long term.
Yeah, a 250,000 motor that you beat the fuck out of for 24,000 miles and it blows up. I'm not sorry.
Got your money's worth.
Yeah, it was like when I started asking more of it and I cranked the boost way up, that's when it started like going through a lot more engine. High risk, high reward. I party harder, a higher boost. So I'm putting together engine 13 right now, and it's going to be, I think I'm going to do stock cam. Might do like a LS9 cam or something, like a mild factory cam. We're going to put our 2-liter supercharger on it. The adapters we're making for the STS. Making I made my forge. I'm going to try not to tangent. Okay.
Yeah. Did you make an adapter yet?
Shut up, not tangenting. So I got the 13th engine essentially together. The truck got dropped off today, and I haven't touched it since. So I go to Thanksgiving burnouts. This Thanksgiving, I don't think I went to Thanksgiving burnouts. You're shaking your head like you know. You know?
This past Thanksgiving burnouts was wet, and you were gonna take the El Camino, and you were like, "Yeah, it's not worth it for wet. The burnouts are not even gonna get any good."
Right, especially when I had that wonky ass drive shaft. Yeah, okay, that's right. So I didn't go this Thanksgiving. So it was a year before that. I took it to Thanksgiving burnouts, and I didn't really drive it much that whole summer because like it just wasn't healthy. So it's really been almost 2 years that I haven't like hardly touched it. I went to Thanksgiving burnouts, and then I drove it from Jeremy's to Calculated Chaos, and just been sitting over there. I haven't touched this thing in almost 2 years. crazy to think it's been that long. It got dropped off. It got dropped off this year or today, and it hurt my feelings to look at it because it is in sorry shape. Like
Yeah.
I could have. This was a beautiful Arizona truck. I drove it in the salt one, maybe two times, New Hampshire. Got holes in my rocker panels. Like holes. I need to put a cab corner on this thing. Like I fucking hate it here. I need to get out of New Hampshire.
Yeah, not good for nice vehicles.
No, it's great if you love like buying a new vehicle every 5 years and moderate use of like snow activities because we don't get a lot of snow, but like enough if you like to use it a little bit. Like if you like a little bit of good weather, we've got that.
Yeah, a little bit of everything here.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. None of it's good. Like if you're a winter guy, this isn't the place. All the guys go up north, like Canada. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know. There's nothing good about here. Like if you got family and you're deep rooted here, fine. Like that's an excuse, but it has nothing to do with New Hampshire. Like nobody's like, oh, I was just passing through New Hampshire and I'm just gonna stop in and say hi. No, it's a dead end.
yeah.
It's literally signs that say do not enter. Well, all right, there isn't, but it feels like it.
In the right places.
Yeah, in the right places on those roads, there certainly are those signs.
Mm-hmm. Those are the best places to enter.
Yeah, so I'm super bummed that like, one, I got to put another engine in that truck, and that's getting fucking old.
Faster though.
No, not any faster. I was pretty good at like the second or third time. Over it.
Yeah. You learned all the tricks.
Yeah, I got it.
The book now.
So I got to put another engine in it. I'm really over the fact I have to do more engines. I'm going to turn it down. Like, I'm not going to try to run 850 wheel horse anymore. Like, I'd be happy with like 450, 500. Like, go back to fun.
Yeah,
that was still plenty fun. And like, honestly, that truck is like, was never supposed to be rowdy and out of control. It was a marketing tool the entire time. It was just a tool. Yes, it was a fun tool and it created a lot of opportunities, and that was the whole purpose of that truck. And I got far more return out of that truck when it was low boost, low risk than when I was like full party mode and doing motors on the side of the road. So I'm gonna go back to fun. Like returns just as much, and I don't have to work on it as much.
Yeah, more weight is always good.
So we're gonna put the 2-liter blower on it, air to water intercooler. It's a 6-liter, stockish cam. I'm hoping I can get my fuel mileage back because I was getting 20 miles a gallon in that truck, and that was great. And now, like a hot rod, you don't worry about fuel mileage, but a hot rod that you drive across the country all the time, like it adds up. Like I'm not a baller. I don't got a bunch of money. Like I gotta count. There's a lot of times I've done road trips when I like coast in home, like from driving to California and back. I barely make it into my yard, and I got no money and no fuel. It's time to go to work. Like more times than I'd like to admit. That's the case.
Yeah.
So the fuel mileage back would be great. But then I'm going to cancel that fuel mileage when we pull the bed off it and put a Toyota Chinook fiberglass motorhome shell on it. Yeah, I'm super stoked about that. But I'm also really bummed at how much work I have to do in order to do that, because like it's not a nice truck anymore. Like at one point it was like, that truck's not bad. Fix some ratty ass fenders and it might be a nice thing. Now it's, I pull the cab off, blast the cab. I know I got some punky stuff going on in the inner rockers that I saw when I was in Texas when I had the cab off, like the first build a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it's only gotten better.
Especially since I drove it in the salt one time. So I know I have to cut both rocker panels off, because like if one of them's poking through, the other one's rotted halfway through the metal on the other side.
It's tomorrow.
Yeah, not worth it. So I got bear blasting in New Hampshire. They're out of Candia, and he's on board to blast the chassis and the cab. So whenever I make the time to pull that thing apart, I'm gonna strip it right down to bare nothing, and we're gonna blast the cab, blast the chassis. I'm gonna cut the rocker panels off. I have to get rid of all the signatures, which is like a big deal to me, but it has to be done. Either that or just like give up and let the truck rot into the ground. And it's like I would rather memorial, because like those signatures are really a memorial for like every bad failure, broken down moment that I've had on the road that was restored through the kindness of a stranger. I would rather take those little memorials, those signatures, and just put them somewhere else. Like, not delete them, not get rid of them. Like, that was still the biggest part of that vehicle and like a pivotal moment in my life. Like that whole journey, the one that I'm still on, the whole Doppler effect.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try to take those signatures, and I think maybe like a headliner on the inside of the motorhome. That way, like, I also plan on making this thing nicer again. Like, obviously, I'm media blasting it. I'm gonna paint it. It's gonna get another new motor. We're turning it down, so it's not gonna be blown up all the time. So I don't expect it to break down the way that I expected it to break down before.
Yeah.
Like I
It's
never
not part of
knew.
the plan this time.
Yeah, I never knew what was actually gonna break. I just knew that like that's the process. People want to be good. When you give them an opportunity to do good, it does good for them inside too. So like I want to help people. Give me an opportunity to help. Like obviously, yeah, I got to prioritize my time, my whatever. So like this isn't an open invite for me to finish your project, but like like I don't know. An example of that is we were in like North Carolina or Florida or somewhere like that on a road trip years ago, and there was this guy that was like struggling. I saw coolant pouring out from under his truck, so right then and there, we did a water pump in the parking lot. And I didn't know the guy, and then while working with him, I found out that this guy's like kind of like snuck out of the house away from the wife to go do something for his daughter or something like that. He snuck out because he wasn't supposed to be doing anything because he just had open heart surgery. And like I just wanted to help the guy, and it just so happened that like I was really helping the guy.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, like people want. There's I get a lot of criticism, like people that are like, one of the ones that like kind of hurts is I've heard that I'm a professional panhandler. It's like it's not it at all. Like, oh, I will figure this out on my own. I want to present the opportunity for other people to help me, like, because it does good for everybody. Whenever like you help somebody, you pay for the guys behind you in line at the drive-through. Like, you go home and you tell your wife, you're like, oh, it was so cool. I got to do this thing, and like, it gives them an experience too.
Yeah.
It gets, anyways, not getting into that. I want to move the signatures to the headliner. If this truck breaks down again and somebody wants to help me, be part of the experience with me, they can sign the inside of the headliner where it's not going to fade away with UV, because like those signatures, a lot of people don't know that it's a lot of work to maintain those signatures, because sitting out in the sun, they disappear. Like Sharpie just disappears. It doesn't wash off. It's UV. I don't know how color works, but like I was like, I got a great idea. I got my buddy Benji, super talented artist. I'm gonna have him come and retrace perfectly everybody's stroke. We redid the whole truck. I was like, perfect, locked in. Sprayed 2K automotive grade clear on there. I was like, this is it. It's in for life. And then like midway through the summer, I was like, wait a minute, why are those signatures fading away? The ones that I sprayed clear over were still fading away to nothing, and I still had to go over them again. Like, a lot of people don't realize how much those signatures are going to disappear eventually. I've already lost some. And if I don't blast this truck, it's going to rot into the ground and not be usable. And like, my biggest pet peeve, single biggest pet peeve in life is rust. Like, and to see my truck rusting, like when I first started seeing rust on the fenders, I was like really scorned. But now they're total rust, and now I got holes in the cab corners and the rocker panels. It drives me insane. I never wanted a rusty pile of shit, but like, demand for, I got to be at the next show, we're filming over here and Netflix, and like, I never really had time between putting another motor in it and trying to make it to the next show, and work and life. Never had time to make it nice like I want to. And now it's in a position where like I can't have it unless I put all the work into it, because like right now it's got a blown up motor. Like, it runs, but it's got so much blow by, it's not even funny. So as soon as the Camry's done, I got to balance between that and the mini truck and figure out where my priorities are. Like, I've got sponsors that I have to fulfill the commitment to with the mini truck. It's just a big balance, like life, work, investment. You know, a lot of my investments are time, like doing this Deathwish shit.
Definitely.
Like, you know, if I'm not working, doing billable hours or growing the VagueIndustries, I mean, that's all it is, really. That's all I do, is try to grow VagueIndustries and Deathwish and the whole image. But
yeah,
it's all, if it's not billable hours, it's time and
equity hours.
Equity hours, yeah.
Right, they don't pay right away. They don't pay for a long, long time.
Oh my God, it takes so long for them to pay. Like,
you gotta like earn them 4 times over before you pay anything back.
Yeah, it's insane. And like, hope you live long enough to see how well you actually invested in those hours. And like, most people, one, they don't, and then two, like, they don't return well because they didn't do it right. So we're just now starting to see like any bit of return, you know, financial return on Deathwish. But it's a long journey. You gotta just stay dedicated to your path, like true to who you are. Like, you can't fake it. You got to be who you are, and either that works or it doesn't. Like, if you fake it, you're exposed pretty easily.
Yeah, gotta be true.
Yeah, so I got a lot of work to do on the Hilux. A lot.
Yeah, that's a major project.
I'm trying to quantize it though, where I'm not doing a full restoration. I'm not gonna, like, I sort of am, but like, I'm not gonna fully tear it down and media blast every single part and bodywork every single thing and put it all back together as a brand new vehicle, and it comes in a ship box and leaves a pristine restored vehicle. I'm gonna blast the chassis, paint the chassis, blast the cab, bodywork, fix the cab back on, everything else on, shitty as it is. But at least at that point, the core of it is nice, and it's not a lot less work, but it's like, it's enough less work to make it worth it for me to be able to get it done rather than getting it done right. Because if I try to do the whole thing, it'll turn into months of work and it just won't ever actually happen. It'll turn into another project that got parted out.
Yep. Gotta do the one step at a time. Just get what has to be done, put it back together, move forward.
Yeah, I learned that years ago. Like, sometimes it's more important to do it the long way and do it the expensive way. And the way that doesn't make sense, that's the only way it's actually going to get done. If you try to do it the way that it makes sense, it'll never actually happen.
Yeah. Makes sense is not always the easiest. You gotta do the only way it gets done, not the only way it makes sense.
Yeah, I think David Freiberger said something along the lines like, getting it done is more important than getting it done right, or getting it running is more important than getting it running right, or something like that. And it's true, like everything. Like, just do it. Like, then when you try to do it right, you end up with the paralysis by analysis. Like,
'Cause right is important. You can't just rush right. Now you got to analyze everything.
right.
You know, you got to work
Yeah.
at it. You got to make it right.
Yeah. And a buddy I used to have, I learned a lot from him just by watching him navigate life. Like, he had this little Toyota pickup that started as nothing, just picked away at it slowly, had that one truck for 10 years, and now it's nasty. Like, it took him 10 years of diligently picking at it. And he did it in phases, got it done, running, driving, tore it apart for the next phase. Like another part of just getting it done is understanding that you need like long-term patience, like micro speed, macro patience.
Yes. Makes a big difference and it's required.
Yeah, watching my buddy, well, yeah, we'll call him my buddy. Watching my buddy build that truck sort of like really gave me perspective, because like I was always the guy that was like, gotta be right, not doing it unless it's right. And watching him just sort of go through his journey, and in the end, he ended up with something sick, like LS engine, long travel suspension, fiberglass body. It's sweet. And
Nice.
he did it all himself. Like a lot of the fab work, I'm sure he himself looks back at the stuff he started at and was like, damn, I wish I could redo that. You know, like,
Yeah.
out of him for all of his efforts and his commitment to it. And look at the great results. And I think that that's everything in life, though. Like, you got to just do what you can with what you have right now.
Yeah. Make it happen. That's it.
Yeah, rather than pontificating and like sitting around saying, hey, by the way, I know that I've been talking this whole time. Your connection looks great now.
Because it's not processing as much because I'm holding still. It's less for the computer to process if it's 2-dimensional.
Yeah, the image just never moves. There's no audio input. That's true. I guess that's right. Yeah.
Just live streaming a picture now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's way easier. Huh. Yeah, I guess, yeah, cool. We'll just put a picture up.
So I was there, see?
Yeah, so I got to get the Camry done.
Mm-hmm.
Hilux comes in, all the signatures get blasted off of it. I do got to extend the frame, which I don't know how to do yet because I haven't looked at a real Chinook, which means I got to move the gas tank, because I moved the fuel cell to the rear of the vehicle, and like I think I'm going to repurpose that fuel cell for another project. So I got to maybe build a fuel tank and probably put it in the stock location again.
They still use the stock setup.
Right. I got to stretch my frame. However, they probably nicer than however they stretched it.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
How did they stretch it?
So they took like 2x2, 3x3 square stock, and they bolted it with like, well, it might be welded, but not like, it's not even plated. It's just underneath the frame rails, bolted / maybe welded straight off the back 3 feet with a chintzy little bumper. That was it.
Like under the frame rails, not in it, not
under, because it has that little step down in the back.
Okay.
And that's that little, they didn't go right off the frame itself. They went below directly. So it's like 4 or 5 inches of frame at the back, whatever it lands. But it's so bad. Like, look at that. You're like, dude, that isn't like, that's less structural than the fiberglass shell even. Like, it's not doing anything.
Yeah.
I can't believe
The fiberglass is holding it up.
Yeah. Like, you can't believe they got away with that. Like, it's nothing.
Yeah.
And then, like, but what's crazier is my mom's 31 footer. Same thing. It's no better at all. But this one, they did slide the tubing inside the frame rails and then just bolted it. But it's just 2 pieces slid straight in, and maybe 2 cross members for like 12-foot extension. Like, massive distance. You know, it's amazing.
Yeah. So I'll probably have to do that only nice.
Yeah, totally nice. Which, does that truck have a factory frame anyways? Oh, it does?
Yeah. And it's mint, or at least it used to be mint before I drove it in the salt and let it sit for 2 years.
So it's a little saltier mint, but it's mint.
Yeah, salty mint. That sounds gross.
New England mint, you know. Salty mint. That's how it happens here. Even the mint stuff's salt.
Excuse me. Coming through. Okay. So I gotta stretch the frame, and then there's some things I gotta figure out the gas tank, probably build a gas tank, put it back in the stock location. Because I'm not gonna find a 77 Hilux tank that's in great shape like the one I took out, threw away. And
Parts well cost.
yeah, I hate being dumb.
Dude, I've had to throw away so much work and energy in the last couple of years. You got to just smile and laugh. At least that's the only way I'm going through it.
Yeah.
Just keep laughing. Well, you know what? At least I learned something.
Choose
That's all that matters.
happiness.
Yeah, that's all that matters. Just call it a learn, and then you can deal with it. No problem. Whatever. If you just say you learned, it feels better to lose.
I found a little bit of my hot pocket that I was missing.
Nice. Glad you got every piece.
Yeah, so I'm gonna stretch it, make it nice, move the fuel tank, and then I do want to put like recline. Did I ever show you the magic tabs that we make?
I think so.
So I don't know how to describe it, but or I don't know how to describe it well. It's basically we make them on the plasma table. It would be way easier if I just had them laser cut out of tube, but make them out of the plasma on the plasma table out of like 14 gauge, and it's a rectangle with a smaller square cut out of the center. And then we made a top and bottom die to stamp it into like a half round tube. And then so that half round tube basically has a slot in it. And then you can on the ends just pack it to tubing or your chassis or whatever, and then a hose, a brake line, or whatever can lay in that saddle, but it also has a relief cup for a zip tie to go around it.
Yep.
Make sense?
Yep.
So
That's sweet.
yeah, because Eric and I were in the shop one day arguing about how to mount the brake lines. He's like, "There's no good way to do it." And what do you? How about this? And I was like trying to explain to him what I had in my mind, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'll just draw it on the computer so you can see what's in my mind." And I drew it, and he goes, "Oh, wow, yeah, that's great. How do we make one?" I was like, "Well, the file's right here, so what do we save it as?" And so I tried to save it. I had to come up with a name, and I was like, tab mount magic tab, because like it honestly is basically invisible.
Yeah.
So I want to make some magic tabs to hold my brake lines to the frame.
Yeah.
It's like I'm kind of anal about my brake lines. I want them to be perfect.
Yeah.
But rarely are they, because I'm usually in such a rush. Like
By desire.
yeah, straight lines are really important to me, but apparently not important enough when it comes to time management. So I'll put some magic tabs on there, and then pass the chassis, and then the Chinook shell, where that's where you come in, because I'm getting the Chinook from you. You explained to me that to get the shell, get the camper off of the truck, you basically have to ruin it if you want to reuse it. If you want to reuse it, you got to ruin it.
Yeah, more or less.
They use like carriage bolts down through the floor, bolt the chassis, and then they put like the linoleum, and then the cabinets and everything else gets built on top of that to get the bolts out that are surely rotted, you have to disassemble the interior, which ruins the interior. Rarely comes out nicely.
Yeah.
And it's 40, however, the numbers for me. How old is it?
It's a 70. That one is a 76. So it's like 47 years old.
So it's a 47-year-old camper.
Something. Yeah.
So like, even if it came out great, it's still gross.
Yeah. I haven't taken one apart yet that was like, I'd reuse that for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Maybe the compost toilet. Maybe.
Yeah. Southern California is the only place they get to say that.
Yeah. So bolts are going to break, so you got to cut them. And then the only way to get the bolts out, reuse it, is to disassemble the interior. And at that point, there's certainly going to be a section of floor that is rotted somewhere. Replace the floor. So basically what I got is the exterior shell of a Chinook. Yeah, and everything I've come to understand is that every roof is caved in a little bit. So can't get a good thing. I guess this is probably why, if you really like them, you want a nice one, it costs 15, 20 grand.
Yeah, that's the reason. Because like nice, it did take some work. They don't just find them nice anywhere. Somebody fixed it up, and that took time and energy. How nice they did it, they do make a premium, especially with a solid axle under them. Then it's like, oh my gosh, crazy money.
Yeah, yeah, it's like 35 for a solid. Literally can do that swap in a weekend. Like, I guess the average person maybe can't, but
it's a good niche market, honestly. Where like I don't think it's totally maximized, because if you could pick these up like $3 to $5 grand, like driving, ready to go, needing spruce.
Transfer case, front axle in it, and sell it for 30.
Yeah, that's a good turnaround.
Somebody's gonna do that, and when they do, oh my god.
Yeah. 7.42%.
Yeah. Like this is my idea. Like nobody else has done this.
And brand new, fresh to the market.
Yeah. So I've also found it's kind of hard to find 1-inch plywood.
Yeah. And unfortunately, right now, the price of everything construction related is at least double pre-COVID prices.
Not even construction related, like literally everything.
Yeah. It's just craziness.
Like every time I talk to my steel suppliers, they're like, oh, they gotta like prep me.
Yeah, right. They always give you
prices have been going up, so I mean, I'm gonna do the best I can do. My guys usually treat me really well, but it's funny how like I'm sure they've got like real big clients that get like real mad because they pay. We had this price locked and we've been paying this for, and then there's me. I'm like, hey man, I just need 1,000 feet or so, and they're like, they're just so used to prepping their clients that the costs are going up. Yeah, and like it will be a pretty immediate showing, I would think, on the shelves. Like product.
Yeah.
Pretty immediately, it's going to be noticeably higher. Like, I'm not an economist. When the price of stuff goes up and now you have to pay your employees more because there's a higher minimum wage, like it costs you more to make that product. You have to raise the price. So
yep.
I'll be mighty upset when my whole milk costs over $5 a gallon.
Yeah.
Not worried about gasoline. I'm gonna burn that anyway. But
yeah. It might, sooner than later, you might have to really look into start getting a cow for yourself.
I thought about that, but I love cheeseburgers so much. Like that's, I love milk and I love cheeseburgers. It's like a duality thing. Like you can't have both.
You have one for a while, then you have the other.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, I guess it takes a while to make cheese, so you get that intermediate.
Yeah, in the middle, you get you can make the milk, take the milk, make the cheese, make the burger, save some of the milk to have with the burger, eat up.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. But anyways, it's hard to get 1-inch plywood. I haven't like wholeheartedly looked into it, but Home Depot doesn't have it.
Never.
So I think what's gonna happen is probably 2 sheets of half screwed together, and then I wanna cover the whole thing with resin, like fiberglass resin. Top and bottom, we're gonna come up before we tear the camper apart, we're gonna come up with like a cardboard template of the shape of the floor,
Hmm.
and I'm gonna make that cardboard. I'm gonna make my floor the shape of that cardboard template on my chassis with mounted, whatever kind of mounts I come up with, because I feel like I'm gonna want to come up with a more sound mount because I'm a fabricator than a piece of box tube with a bolt through it.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, it worked great for 47 years, but not good enough now.
2021.
Yeah, and then we can put the
And this
shell on
camper's
it.
gonna be-
Yeah, so like this is a bunch of work. Like, it's not just a motor swap, and it's not just a cab swap, because like that's all just a day thing. But this is kind of a big project. I think this is going to take a couple weeks. I'd love to say it's going to take a week, but
It's very time and labor intensive, custom making everything to fit, and custom fitting. But
yeah,
it's just it's super. It's like stuff that is super unknown until you're at that step. Then you can't. Then you can finally see the next step. Then you can finally see the next steps. You can't like hammer it out.
oh man, I must have lost a whole lot. My hot
You still hot pocketing?
I'm still finding it. I'm good.
Nice.
Yeah, I really think it's going to take at least 3 weeks of like dedicated work to pull this off.
Serious push.
I know, which means I got to chisel 3 weeks of my life out for that. I mean, that is my life, but
But this isn't paying the bills.
yeah, this project doesn't pay bills.
You need a month aside ahead of time, plus cost of materials.
Right. And so after turning this into a Chinook, the world's fastest motorhome is currently only 141 miles an hour. Now, I'm going to have less horsepower now. I don't know how fast it'll actually go, but I know I don't even hit overdrive until $160. So 141 miles an hour is not fast. Like, it doesn't work currently. Like, this motorhome isn't like the big, tall, super tall ones. It's a collapsible with a pop-up roof. So it doesn't have like a huge like frontal area, big coefficient drag. It's still pretty tall. It's still wide. Like, it's not wider than my truck is now, which is the cool part. Like, I'm not going to have to wide body a motorhome. It is the correct width for the Crown Vic axle.
Which is huge.
Yeah. But I know that on one of my like road trips where I had to turn that Hilux into a time machine, I was doing like $160 for an hour or so. And it wasn't working hard to do $160. It was just driving.
Yeah.
I wasn't beating the hell out of it. It was just, I was on an open Arizona highway in the middle of the night. And until I ran out of gas, because apparently you use a lot of fuel going that fast. Story of my life.
Used to affect it a little.
Yeah, so I can't imagine that even turning the power down and adding a motorhome, I'm going to add probably 800 pounds, I would think, 900 pounds. Before it's fully outfitted, I don't know what I'm actually going to put in it. I have an idea, but I don't think it's going to add a whole lot of weight to what's there. And I think that it's reasonable to think that that thing will do 170 miles an hour, maybe more. I don't know what it takes to do 200. I know it does 200 now, but it's a different animal.
Right.
Yeah, we're going to dumb it down some with the supercharger and instead of the turbos, and then add some frontal area, add some weight. Everything is at a disadvantage for breaking world records, but it should still pretty easily break the world's fastest motorhome record. So I don't remember what kind of vehicle it is. It's like this like minivan that holds the record. It's like hardly a motorhome. It's not a real motorhome. It's
Oh,
literally a
man.
minivan that like has a compost toilet and maybe a propane stove or something in it. Like,
That's sweet.
yeah, it's not even a pop-up roof. It's not. I don't know what it is, but
Okay,
it's
then,
like one of those like front-wheel drive shitbox things that they call an RV, and it's I don't know, for tiny people. TLC
so
should start
imagine,
a show about it. World's fastest tiny people home.
yeah, imagine being like, think about the money saved by being in that regard. You know, you could buy that, and that's like a full-size ranch. You know,
Yeah, but
that's huge.
yeah. Anyway, like such a disadvantage being 6'3". Literally everything's made for like a 5'5" human.
Yeah, that's not helpful.
No, like I don't fit in vehicles. All the cool, like you want to get the smallest vehicle, biggest engine. And there's a lot of builds that I just can't do because I'm 6'3" and I won't fit in it. Like Miata, like
Okay.
secretly Miatas are cool with the right engine, but I don't fit in a Miata. I can't do a Miata build.
Yeah.
Like I like the lifted Miatas; they're sick. Just I don't fit. And like I guess what's the word? Adversely, um, smaller humans have to take more steps to get the same place.
So you do have an
So,
advantage.
so like everything's more
Fastest.
work for them.
They walks 40 steps a day. This guy. That
Yeah,
is not fair.
yeah, it's perspective, I guess, but
Yeah.
it's
So
great to
nothing
see
gets
over the
better.
top of the fridge, but there's not much up there.
Right. But nobody else is tall enough to stock it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what the hell?
That's great.
Yeah. So I've got a couple of buddies. So Ronnie Hatem owns Hatem Graphics, and Benji Day is just an independent artist. Um, they're both extremely talented artists. Kind of different styles. What I guess that's art, right?
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. So they both agreed to carve out an hour or so and hand me a handful of sketches for different liveries for the Hilux. Now that's going to be a Chinook because I want to paint it. I have to paint it if I'm going to blast it. I can know what color I'm going to paint it. And I know that I can come up with something all on my own, and it'll be fine. I don't have the creativity like they do. So I would love to sort of lean on them a little bit and see what comes out of their mind. Like,
Definitely.
I want something super 70s. You know, I don't want like 80s lasers and stuff like that's cool, but that's not this build. So like I'm open to any color, like cream, an orange, a pea soup, 70s.
Yeah. Yeah. It's variety.
Big deck stripes. And like I think on the back, Deathwish, you know, because that's the truck kind of started the show. The truck's been named Deathwish since before the show had the name. And on I think on each side in like a funky 70s font, I want to write fornicatorium. Like that's a super groovy name for like a motorhome from the 70s. And also it's part of that journey that like the Hilux, because I lived in the fornicatorium in Texas when I built it. Like I built it across the country, but there was a major portion of the build that happened in Texas, in Houston, when I was living in this barn. It was like a tool room, and I had to like sneak around because the old man knew that I was living in the barn, But his old lady didn't know. And she was like ornery. They call her Sinbad for a reason. And so she was fine with me working in the shop, but she had no idea that like I was living there, like with the critters. Like this was like open to the elements, and there was like farm animals and snakes and lizards, and yeah,
Nice.
yeah. Like one night a lizard crawled on my leg, and I lost it, and I was like sleeping on a shelf. Between shelves, we like stuffed like a mattress and sleeping bag, and like I have to sleep with a blanket on me, even if it's 90 degrees and humid. So I got the blanket on with one leg out, and then a literal monster crawled onto my legs, felt really strong, and like grabbed my leg. Freaked. I stood up as fast as I could, smashed my head on the top bunk, and it's pitch black in there. Well, I guess there was like a little light. There was a lantern with like a rocking horse that creaked. It was super eerie. And there was like space memorabilia and stuff. He worked at NASA. And it's like, it was a really cool little tool room, but I destroyed it because I got up in this like frantic, and the blankets went everywhere, and it knocked everything off the walls. And like, I'm like, it was this mayhem. And I'm standing in the room going, as like the world imploded around me, and I'm standing in this mess, all because this little like skink grabbed a hold of my leg.
Yeah, critters can really get you going though. It's not a fun thing when you're nice and relaxed and sleeping.
I was like on the edge of sleep. You know when like you're sleeping, but like if something makes a noise, you still know it?
Uh-huh.
That's what it was. And then like this lizard crawled on my leg, and I didn't know what was going on. I was like, oh, something's touching my leg. Something's touching my leg. Not okay.
That's not, yeah, that nice, almost perfectly asleep's the worst time to be shocked awake.
Yeah, not okay. This is an emergency.
Yeah. I've had
everything's got to change right now.
Right, major new focus of everything and only thing. I've had like there's a piece of wood right here,
okay,
blocking a hole in the wall from this we're in an 1840s barn garage right now. That way would be the front entrance, and the bats are still up in the other part of the rest of the attic and barn. And this nicely rustic wall that I had to keep because it's so cool has a lot of like cracks and crevices, and the bats come down from time to time, and that is an immediate, takes all time and attention, and only that needs to be dealt with for a while, which because it takes a while. These things are not very good at flying out. You open all the doors, whatever you can do, they suck. It's like they don't even want to leave. Like that. Like,
they're at home now.
Yeah, they're still looking around. It's like, oh, I don't know. Maybe I don't want to go yet. Got any bugs in here? Like they just keep going and going and going.
Well, you came in for a reason.
Yeah.
Any bugs in here?
In less time, it takes way less time for my dog to run out the door and take off to the neighbor's house than it does to the bat. Every time.
Yeah.
So I got a net now, which has very fast sped up the process of getting the bat.
Got a bat net.
There's a bat net right in the corner over there by the door.
It's such a problem. I had to get a net. This is like a pandemic.
Yeah, it's hit me way more than the pandemic has.
Yeah.
My bed is low ceiling from my bed to the ceiling height wise.
Oh yeah, so the lizard crawls on your leg, bloody forehead, just like me in the fornicatorium.
No, I haven't hit my head. It's not quite low enough to hit your head. But when there's a bat flying above your head, it's very close to your head because it's only 40 inches from bed to ceiling. So you're 15, 18 of those. You're down to 20 inches of, right there. Yeah. It's not comforting. And the dog is just sitting in the corner like, who invited that guy? He doesn't want anything.
The dog like doesn't care, just looking at it.
Yeah, he's just like, you better. He's just like in his head. I can tell he's like, you stay there, I'll stay here. I think we'll be fine. But I'm not trying to investigate. I don't have any desire to deal with you. I don't know what you're about. I don't know why you're here. But I'm gonna pretend I didn't see you and hope he deals with you in the morning.
Yeah.
Big sometimes the dogs, 5 cats.
Sometimes the dogs that are like that will look at it and you can tell in their head they're like, you better deal with that.
Totally. He has nothing to do with it at all. Like if that thing was attacking me, he wouldn't even try to help.
Yeah.
He's
Doesn't want it there, but isn't going to do anything about it. Like, you better deal with that. This is your problem.
100%.
This is a human problem. This is.
Where's the dog?
Touch that.
There's a dog around here somewhere. I don't even know where he went. Oh yeah, I went out in the office. He's out there now. If I go out there, he doesn't come back.
So anyways, fornicatorium was a huge part of that build. It's a cool word, and what a great name for a Toyota motorhome, like a 70s motorhome, where I'm totally gonna do it in all the time with Kaylee.
That's gonna be great, dude.
Oh, it's always the best when it's with Kaylee. Of course, I have to say that now that we're engaged.
Yeah, every time.
Yeah,
you have to clarify. Can't leave it up to chance.
Yeah, yeah. It's 100%.
You're going into a legally binding contract. Like, this shit's real.
Right.
She could sue you.
Yeah, unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah, pretty awesome though.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's definitely what I want to do.
Those are the best decisions. That's what makes life worth living.
Yeah.
The shit that makes sense never becomes a memory.
Word.
Doing what you're supposed to do, being responsible, whatever, never the way.
I don't have any regrets on anything I've done either. If I had that come up, if I had to like reason a regret, it would be not teaching myself the discipline applies to me at an earlier age.
Yeah. But I would as well if I had to come up with something to regret, but I don't know anybody of any age that knows of this magically secret information in my life who could have learned it or taught it to me younger. So I can't be too hard on myself about having not figured it out myself. Just happy that now it's a thing.
Yeah, I know a couple people who have it, but I think they got it from their dad, and then also the military.
Military's like kind of like your new minimum is way bigger all the time, no matter what.
Yeah,
like
discipline training is really all it is.
Straight up forced in. You're not gonna forget it.
Yeah, I think military is nothing but discipline. Like, you need to learn discipline right now.
Yep, we're gonna do this every day until you do.
By the way, here's some external discipline from us as well.
Guarantee it locks in. Doesn't ever go away.
Yeah, and you have a legally binding contract, like marriage.
Yeah.
It's a discipline.
Right. Yeah, I'm not sure which one I'd feel safer going into, to be honest.
Yeah,
They have their own scariness and pros and cons.
I'm okay with losing everything. I'm working hard right now. I'm gonna be working really hard when I'm older. I worked really hard when I was younger. Lose it all, you're still gonna work really hard.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Yeah, it's the pause between the beats, which is where the music of life is. Without the pause between the beats, there'd be no music.
That is the truth.
Right.
Wow. Never heard it that way.
Right?
I think it was the music, but it's the pause in the music.
Yeah.
It gives the music its background and existence.
Yeah. Because duality exists in literally every single realm. Like, you can't have one without the other. It's the yin and yang thing. Like, I never understood the yin yang until I started understanding life, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, now I totally get it. Now it's cool again, like it was in middle school. My binders and shit. It's the only shape I knew to draw. That and the little chain link.
That's great.
Yeah, so fornicatorium on the sides, I'm thinking like some deck stripes, and I've got this image of the Hilux in Sedona. It's such a cool image where, like, before it's destroyed, it's still got nice clean fenders on it, and this like beautiful like orange mountain range. It's just, Sedona's gorgeous. The 89A, I believe it is the road, like just a fucking gorgeous highway. It's like canyons and cliffs and red rocks and nuts. And I took a couple of pictures of the Hilux with the scenery there. And I think I'd been down it a couple of times. One on the very first journey, like I'm 60 miles into driving this truck for the very first time. And I took some photos in Sedona. And I kind of want to maybe airbrush those scenes on the side of it, like maybe above the graphics package. Because I think the airbrushing is like that all fits with the 70s vibe. And then
Yeah, totally. A mural.
and then it like documents that vehicle's journey too, you know, because I have the original Hilux with a crazy high contrast, beautiful image, and then like in a similar spot with it all crazy and wide body and single turboed, and then it'll be on the motorhome version of it.
That would be sweet.
And then just sort of ties it all in. You know, the Fornicatorium on the sides, Deathwish on the back. Like, I really think that Fornicatorium is such a funny name, and there's not going to be many pictures of it taken from the back. The Fornicatorium will probably become the name of the truck. And I'm okay with that too.
Yeah. It could, you know, a little up branding with a whole new package is reasonable.
Right.
The latest version of the Deathwish.
I don't know how soon all of this is going to happen because discipline equation and time management. But fairly soon, I would like to paint my engine that I have that's all junkyard camo because it's the junkyard parts. I want to paint it body color, and I need to know what color that's going to be. So I gotta get some rendering from my artists, and if they can't come up with something, I feel like I've got it 70% drawn in my head. Like, I just really want to see what they have in their noodle,
Definitely.
you know, what they think.
That'd be sweet to see.
Yeah, the 70s graphic stuff I think is pretty basic stuff. Like, it didn't get crazy until you got into like lowrider shit or the late 80s stuff when they started like going nuts with mini trucks.
Yeah, nice, simple, but very classic look.
Yes.
You know, you look at that thing and the word classic wants to come to your mind, even though it's like, but because it will have your classic look with all of the added nose and everything else, and then a better version of what the paint should have been back in the day on it. Classic retro mod, badass.
And I'd like to do a really nice job, maybe not 100% to the best of my ability, but like a nice job. I want to be able to drive it. Like, I want to be able to care about the paint, but not worry about the paint.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That's a good medium.
Yeah, and that's a mindset thing too. Like, if you're paying to have the job done, you got to put a certain amount of time and effort into making the money, however you make it, and then reallocating your time and effort into that vehicle if you have somebody else do it. So getting finished product for finished product, like whether you do it yourself or you have it done, I think that doing it yourself has more soul, you know, like a deeper soulful connection to your individual ego, versus paying somebody to have it done. And if you pay somebody to have it done, like, there's still somebody who put their sweat equity into that, and there's still soul in that product. It's not something that's stamped out by the millions that just is sold as plastic, repackaged and rebranded and in every department store. It's still got handcrafted soul, but it's not as connected. And I think that my level of care and worry for the finished product is going to be directly proportionate to how much care and worry I put into the build in the process. Like, If I want top tier, the best of my abilities, I'm going to have to put a lot of effort into it for one and time, but I'm going to care about it that much more in the end because like that's everything I could do. And I care a lot about it because I'm deeply emotionally invested. I don't want to do that because I know what I want in the end, something that I can be a little more careless with. Not reckless like I am now, a little more careless. So going into it, I'm not going to do 100% my best. And I think it's important to start with the end result and work backwards. And I tell a lot of my clients the same thing. Like, hey, you know, I think I want to put these parts on my Jeep. Like, well, what do you want to do with the Jeep? And then we find out, like, you dig into them, you pull the questions, the answers out of them, and we find out that what they want is counterintuitive to what they're asking you to do. And you're like, can we start with the end goal and work backwards? And they go, oh, wow, that's actually a great idea. Why didn't I do that on my own? Cleared out. So just knowing that my end goal is like, I want to use this thing. I still want to travel in it. I'm still going to do burnouts in it. I'd be sick if I could do wheelies in it. I want to beat the hell out of it. But I don't want to abuse it. And I want it to be nice, but not so nice. I go, hey, don't lean on that. You know?
Right. Yeah. You are the only person I know that would say, I want to beat the hell out of it, but I don't want to abuse it.
I did say that, huh?
One and then the other. Like right to each other, as if nobody would think, huh? Like, oh, yeah. He wants to beat the hell out of it and not beat on it, of course.
No, I said not abuse it. That's different.
Oh, yeah. Beat the hell out of it and not abuse it, of course.
Those are different words. Isn't it funny how words are like totally subjective in their meaning? Like communication is such a weird thing between humans. Like my understanding of love is different than somebody else's understanding of love.
Yeah.
And how we express it and how we receive it. And yeah, I don't want to abuse it. It's your problem. Doesn't that make sense to you?
There's no problem. I was appreciating the statements that could go and then follow. Right. I just no objection at all. I think more people should think that way.
Yeah, like there's a line there. Like right now, I abuse it with total disregard for mechanical well-being.
Yeah,
I don't want to do that anymore. I want a temperature gauge. I want an oil pressure gauge. I'm done putting motors in it because, and here's part of the reason why. Like, it's a marketing tool, and there's only so much juice you can squeeze out of one of these marketing tools, one of these vehicles. It's a great vehicle. A lot of people love it. A lot of people have seen it. Some people hate it. Whatever. It's not my deal. It's theirs. But it's now to a point where it's like, oh yeah, I remember that thing. They're not like revved to see me driving it again. They're like, oh, he's still driving that thing, huh?
Yeah. You know? It lost its big first punch.
Yeah, it doesn't have the punch anymore. Yeah. Not to say I can't do anything with it. There's no more attention left in it. It's like the ROI isn't as high anymore.
Yeah.
You know, my investment, get the attention, isn't as high. I talk about attention like it's feeding my ego. It's not feeding my ego, it's feeding my business. Let's be clear about that. Like you could be the best in the world, but if nobody knows your name, it doesn't matter. So you need the attention, build the market, convert the sales. I just want to make that clear.
I think it's a big enough jump from where it sits currently, as it was here and dwindled a little bit over the last couple of years of being driven less. It's enough of a restart though with the camper shell where it could be a similar spike, I think, possibly.
Well, I mean, there's that too. I 100% agree. So there's two levels to wanting to redo this thing. It's not just, okay, it's done, I need it to be nice. It's like, I'm changing the whole thing up. Like it's a whole new thing. Now when you see a supercharged wide body Toyota motorhome whipping shitties at Hoonigan, it's a different thing. Like entirely. Especially when it's kind of nice.
Yeah. And people that have no previous wouldn't have seen that truck, who were only online at vehicles at the camper side of things or less automotive, are now going to be exposed to that and go, wow, that's a freaking motorhome.
Yeah, you just capture a different market.
Totally.
Again, it's a marketing tool that I have developed an emotional attachment to. So it's like I'm changing the whole image, but it's making it nice and it's moving it towards something that's more usable. Because now when I break down, I'm at home. Like wherever I break down, I'm home.
And you can take your time.
Yeah. So,
Break it down will never be more fun.
yeah. When I
Like, we're broke down 2 hours away. All right, let's make some burritos.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
way
totally.
better broke down.
So toured the country with one of my best friends, Doug. He built a school bus, and badass. Him and his cousin put all the hours, all the discipline into the bus. I showed up on the tail end, helped tidy up a few things. Helped do a motor swap in it once. Sort of saved him. He was stuck in North Carolina, and I was like, I got friends. Let's tow it to this place. And it ended up being Dennis Anderson's, which is the Gravedigger monster truck. We went to his pad. We stayed there for a week or two and did a motor swap in it. While I was in the middle of a road trip, he was in the middle of a road trip. I just sort of made a detour to go help him out. But
Nice.
we lived in that bus for, I don't know, like half a year or so. And we had a handful of breakdowns, and it was never like a tragedy. You know, 2 a.m, down, we're like, fuck it, park, let's wait till morning. Let's like make dinner. We're home. Let's go to bed.
All right, now
Deal with it when it's like when it's time to deal with it. It's not right now.
yeah. That's so much comfier broke down.
Yeah, it's like breaking down the Hilux now sucks. Sleeping in that bench seat is like, you know what? I got like a 99 or 2000 Silverado. It was like a free truck. Been driving it for years. And I've never actually broke down in it. It's the most reliable thing ever. But I've been on road trip where I had to sleep in it because it didn't make sense to get a hotel room. It's only a couple of hours. It's like sleep in the truck. That truck, full size truck, almost can't sleep in it. So uncomfortable. Whereas the Hilux, big, the roomy, spacious, flat bench seat is like comfy. I can sleep in that. That's not a big deal. I can't straighten my legs out. You know, my ass is at the door, my head's at the other door, but it's not that uncomfortable.
Yeah.
If I could just get in the back and lay down on that bed, like maybe make some food.
So comfortable.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to do some touring in that too. Like,
yeah, that's when you want to just put some miles on.
Yeah,
that'll make driving so much fun.
Yeah, I'll be able to go to events and be comfortable at the events.
All day
Also
long.
bring a cool thing.
Yeah, right. You can bring a cool thing and have all your food and all your drinks and make what you want and go take a nap and chill out.
Well, most cool things aren't comfortable.
Yeah.
Like, what cool things are comfortable? If they're comfortable, they're probably honestly not that cool.
Big old Cadillacs, I think, are the only sweet spot there.
There's a sweet spot.
That's cool and comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think they're just cool because that's the way they came, though. Like, if you do anything to them, not cool anymore. Right. Like candy paint, maybe some juice.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a formula there. It's a proportionate ratio between cool and comfort.
Yeah, it's a balance. Fine balance.
And, you know, if inversely that's true, the less comfortable, the more cool. Hilux has been one of the coolest things many times. because unbelievably uncomfortable sometimes.
It has shown though to equal that, hasn't it?
Yeah,
Uncomfortable equals.
it has. Yeah, that's true. In life, being comfortable is like being uncomfortable is where the growth is.
Yeah, being comfortable is like the opposite of getting anywhere.
It's so strange because like you want to try to get somewhere, you have goals, you want like you strive for comfort, yet striving is where the like I don't know how to word. I'm losing my words.
When you're uncomfortable striving, you're actually growing. And as soon as you get to that comfort level, you start to slide backwards down the mountain until you start striving for something more. If you stay comfortable, you just keep going backwards.
Yeah, I just feel like life is a pursuit. Like it's a never ending, it's a revolving door. And I don't know anybody who is 100% comfortable with absolutely everything in their life. Like, okay, so this person might be comfortable financially and has no ambition to strive for more money, right? Great. But they're not comfortable in other areas.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, you know, you and I are not financially set. So financial is something we strive for. But we're much more comfortable in maybe in our own skin, or like we're more naturally happy, or but
Yeah.
I don't know anybody who's just, I love exactly everything that's happening right now.
Yeah.
But this revolving door. I don't quite understand it. I've tried to get underneath it and to the bottom, but like, why can't you just be happy exactly where you're at?
Well, that possibility is always there.
The possibility is there. Damn, that's a hell of an equation.
Yeah. No, I mean, you can choose happiness even without all of the comfort of being financially secure, say.
Okay, yeah. Choose happiness, which you're gonna have a lot of argument on that because people don't know how to choose it. Like it's
a
not
choice.
It is a choice. It's not necessarily easy. So let's make that clear. And it's different for everybody. Especially people who find their happiness outside themselves. Like it's totally uncontrollable. You can't control your happiness if you put your happiness externally. Like it's detrimental to your health.
Yeah, it's got to come from within. It's the only real source.
Right. Yeah, there's external happiness and true inner unshakable happiness. And that's something you create for yourself, and that can be done with how you respond to your environment. Remember where I was going with that?
Being uncomfortable is the good spot.
No. Like, why we can't just be comfortable, like where we're at, like with everything. This is perfect. I love working really hard. I know that the money comes when I work really hard. I don't care about the money. I know I need it. I pay my bills. This is the perfect temperature because I can deal with this. Like, like you can really get right down to it. Like I got a little itch on my butt right now. Like, why can't I just be comfortable with like, yeah, that's life. I love all the intricacies of life. It's nothing but a pile of details. And be okay with that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the reality of it. There's always that strive for more. One direction or the other. We use finances as an example earlier, but one direction or the other, it's like, oh, I want to itch my butt, make that better. Like physical comfort is my quest right now. But it's never like this is perfect.
Sometimes it's like this is perfect.
Yeah, but that's when you're like on drugs and stuff.
Sometimes, yes and no. But without that desired quest for more, there is no anything at all anyways. So, you should find that all is great even as it sits right now, no matter what the circumstances. naturally, you're still going to have that drive for more. Without that drive for more and that little bit of something isn't perfect, life wouldn't be worth living.
Yeah, but so like the purpose of life is subjective. It's found in your quest, and your quest is driven by your discomfort.
Mhm.
So your purpose comes from your discomfort, and discomfort is subjective. What a circle that is.
Yeah.
Everything's subjective. Why don't we just choose to be perfect?
That's what I mean, though. You can. Like, you just choose perfect. Everything's perfect. What do you
Well,
mean?
that
Why is
sounds
everything?
great. Sounds great.
Yeah, it's just.
Why are you
that's-
still striving for more right now? Like, I know you want to like build this empire. You're trying to build a storage facility.
Because-
You want storage units.
so because
you
of
want
that-
more and more, so that you can, like, you're trying to build this motorhome so that you can do the next thing. You want to take your daughter around the country. You want like.
So
want more,
everything
more,
is
more.
perfect. Everything is perfect because I know that the moment I'm in is not my final destination. But everything is perfect in the moment that I'm in right now because everything is linear. We're moving in that Doppler chain forward. And as I continue to have everything stay perfect, it will just equal my higher, better version of perfect. But at the moment, everything is perfect.
You sound nonsensical. It's
No, you got it's the enjoy the journey part. Like you
Yeah.
gotta like that's it. It's not that. Just enjoy with this spot perfectly. This spot is perfect because you have the option to build all these other things you strive for. Just because you have the idea in your head to strive for more is perfect. Otherwise, sitting on the beach drinking all day, it gets boring eventually. But life can't always be a party. That burns you out. It's not fun. Actually, it becomes not fun. So you got to go back to wanting something more. What do you want? What do you want to get out of life? What do you want to experience?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Always comes back to wanting more. Why do we always want more?
That's the beauty of life. A dog can't fathom wanting more.
No,
All he can fathom
well,
is
that's not
food,
necessarily
money.
true. We don't know. So shut up about your dog.
No, he tells me all the time, dude.
So
I know exactly where he's at.
yeah, but that's exactly it. It's like we always want more. We can't choose to not want more.
Thank goodness. Life would get real boring. What would you do the next year of your life if you didn't want anything more?
It sounds like I would be really content. And like be
Yeah. What would content be? What would you do?
That's what I'm saying. Figure it out. Like always seeking that next level of high, whatever it is.
Yeah, well, life is a spectrum. Don't you want your best day to be better tomorrow than it was today? And then better the next day, and better the next day, and better the next day?
So this is what I think. So like, yes, the coddled teenager's worst day where he got his paper cut or finger jammed or something is his worst day ever. That's his bottom level of perspective. Worst ever. Versus the guy in war who is murdering people and running for his life and his worst day ever. So we now all have these baselines. Once we move up to a great thing, wherever we move up to, like a nice, like, wow, this is great. I know this is great because I've been at my baseline. Why can't we just be happy with that? Because we've been at the baseline. No. We get there. We're like, you know what would be a little better? Something better than this. And we try to move more.
Yeah.
What's wrong with going, wow, this is great. Remember how bad it used to be? And then just staying there and being stoked about it.
So
always
I
want
think
more.
that increasing your baseline, good stable thing, you get that up a couple notches, you can appreciate it. That feels perfect. The always wanting more is not that your baseline will necessarily go up anymore, but like what if you've already felt your happiest day for the rest of your life? You never feel a happier day than you've already felt. Does that idea intrigue you? Or does the idea of there being a better day than you've ever lived in your life sound awesome?
So life is an ideology? Is that what you're trying to say?
I don't know. That means I don't know what you're trying to say. That I'm trying to say.
Let's just put a lot of words together in a row and call it a sentence.
Say who go.
Yeah, like, I mean, obviously, better is great. But what's wrong with like just great?
Nothing. You could, that's like, just because you're seeking better doesn't mean you're not fully appreciating everything you have or are completely happy in the moment. You can just be completely happy knowing that it's still moving and getting better. But at the moment, you're totally happy and it's as good as it could be. At your peak, that's your highest high. So whether you'll see a higher high or not, you're fully appreciating that high. Like, this is great. I'm right here. It is amazing.
Yeah.
But I do hope to see a higher peak another day in my life. Otherwise, is my life continuing to go up or is it starting to go down? I just want it to keep going up. But appreciate every single spot you're at, whether it's high or low. You got to just love that spot because you're alive, which means anything's possible.
Yeah. It's the quest for the higher, like the ultimate high is death. And it's like, my buddy and I used to call it the oh yeah syndrome. Like, oh yeah, you think your car's fast? Oh yeah, you think you make a lot of money? Oh yeah, you think your girlfriend's hot? And like, it's the biggest oh yeah, like, oh yeah, you think you're good? And then you're oh yeah-ing yourself, you know? Yeah, you think you were good last year? Like, you're always trying to get that higher high, which is what you were just talking about. Yeah, you think you're happy now? Try to get happier. Like, I'm gonna be happier next time. And like, the ultimate high at the end of the journey is death. Like, you can't, oh yeah, I'll go so high, I'll fucking die. And you think so, huh? And then like, I sort of like go back to thinking about like trying to be content with everything, with instead of do the opposite of the oh yeah challenge, and as content as you can with everything and just perfectly okay, and this is great. I don't seek a better anything, and I don't think life can. I mean, like, there's people out there who can argue that, like, I would think that maybe they seek death, but death is their step forward towards progress for them, you know? Like, you look at like monks, right? They get rid of everything external, you know? They do their best to live internally. And so they're not trying to get better outwardly at things, you know, like they're not trying to get better house or more money or more social stature or better car or bigger TV or any of that stuff. And they're trying to be as content as they can with everything. Yeah, well, that's just how life works. This is life. Life, it ebbs and flows, and I'm content with that. They're inside doing a big fight, trying to get better at themselves. Like, like, you can't see it. You can't see them getting a newer car every year. But inside, they're buying an inner new self every couple of months. And they're trying to get better in there. The quest is inside. And I think that through, like, you and I have talked about this a little bit with our discipline discussions, is that I think that discipline, you can do anything with enough discipline. Literally anything. You told me, it sounds crazy to most people, that you want to levitate and you're gonna do it. And I believe you. I believe in you, bud. Well, I think that like monks, how they go into meditation, and like they say they find these monks that are 250 years old and they're like petrified, and you know, they haven't had any like, they're not decomposed, there's not bacteria, there's no flies or maggots, or, and the other monks say, well, he's not dead, he's just in a real deep meditation. I'm like, well, there's some strangeness there, but it's only unusual. It's not implausible. And I think what that is they use their discipline to go inside and consciously turn this expression of life off. Like, die. Consciously turn life off from this expression.
Mhm.
I think that's where you find the ultimate high. Death. Like,
Yeah.
it's a cool saying to like a fucking 80s punk rock thing, like spray painted on walls and shit. Death is the ultimate high. But I think that's like, you follow it all the way down the rabbit hole. I think that's where it goes.
It's a beautiful place.
Yeah, I can't wait for death. Like, genuinely.
You can wait a little.
I'm gonna have to wait. My
Yeah.
goal isn't to die. I
People
just know
think.
that's my destination.
Yeah, and it's not a bad one to get to because it's the only one, and clearly it's where we're supposed to go because it's our only choice. And, you know, and I don't know where I was before I got here, but I don't remember complaining about it. So if I'm plenty of complaints here, I bet there's less over there.
Yeah, that's true. Never complained about before life. Life is a disease. Life is a sexually transmitted disease.
You got that right.
You and I caught it.
You caught it, dude. You caught the disease. Oh man. But if on the other side, that's what it is. Like
What's
the
that?
other, like
Everybody's laughing at you for catching it. Everyone's
like, oh, he was the one. Oh, this sucks. Oh, but you're gonna be a lawyer. That's painful.
uh,
You know? Oh yeah. Oh wow, that'd be a good movie. You could definitely put that in there.
Oh, dude, speaking of movie, I had a dream last night.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this morning, right before I woke up, where they all are. And last night was weird. I had like super interrupted sleep, and which is very unusual for me. Usually I'm like, I'm out and I wake up like time travel. This time it was like every couple hours I wake up. But my dream was super strange. Bailey and I were at a gas station. I think it was a Sheetz. Like, we must have been like Pennsylvania or something. And she had a Skyline, like a R32 or something like that, like a mid-90s Skyline-ish. All black, kind of murdered out, looked really nice, wasn't flashy, it's a nice car. And then at the gas station, there was a bunch of like other car people there with cool cars. But we didn't know. We were there by ourselves. And then it was black guys, one bigger guy, one small guy, and they were starting to like the small guy was an antagonist, and it was pissing the big guy off. And then they started like, they're gonna fight now, and they're starting to like pushing each other and like fighting over towards us. Then small guy goes around to the other side of this hot dog truck that was right there, and I'm looking at the hot dog truck end for end, and I could see the big guy on one side and the small guy on the other side, and they're like hiding from each other. And the big guy's looking at me going, where the fuck is he? I give him the head nod. I'm like, he's right over there. And so then he goes and he like runs around and they start fighting. They start rolling over sort of closer to us in front of the truck. And before all of this went down, Bailey had my phone because she was recording me doing something on my phone. And so now like all our attention is turned to this like fight. And then I turn around and I notice that there's this other guy, kind of small build, over at her car, her Skyline, like writing the VIN down. I'm like, this is a scam. The whole fight's set up because like they all kind of look like similar people, you know, they all had that similar vibe. I was like, this is a scam. These guys are like, it's a distraction. That's not a real fight. I'm like, I don't know what they need the VIN for, but it is a Skyline. I don't know.
car that needs protecting.
Yeah, it was right-hand drive. And then so I like run over and like chase him off. And at this point, like things were getting out of hand with the fight. And there was immediate sense of urgency that Kaylee needed to go. And so we run over to this like group of car guys. And Kaylee like gets in the car with them. And we're all like, oh yeah, we got to get out of here. These guys are nuts. And they weren't with the three guys who were like doing the scam. And like, yeah, absolutely. Let's get the out of here. So Kaylee gets in, everybody gets in, they all take off. And like, as they're taking off, I'm like, it's cool. I'll just stay here alone with the car without my phone. It's fine. And they're gone. And like, I wasn't upset. Like, that's what had to happen. And then I was like, for whatever reason, I had to like start walking down the street a little bit. And I was like, okay, whatever I'm doing, I don't remember why I had to go down the street, but I was like, whatever this mission was, I gotta go back to the car. I started walking back and I got lost on the same street, like straight line, but I couldn't find a gas station again. So I'm like, okay, I turned back around and now I'm walking down the street. Like now I'm like video game pounding, like jumping, like 300 feet at a time.
Yeah.
And I realize that when I land on my heels first, it clicks, obviously, of course. But when I land toe first, I'm silent. And as I'm like bounding down the street, I get to this like kind of salvage yard, and these like three sketchy dudes in this like smashed up car come like whipping in like they just did something illegal and they got to hide in the salvage yard while there's like 4 trucks moving around cars. And I'm like bounding over them on my tippy toes, so I'm silent. They don't see me. And I'm like, those might be related to the guys that were being sketchy with our car going into the impound lot. At this point, like, forgot about Kaylee. I'm on my own mission. I can jump good. And
I've been there. I was just telling a story today about I've had a lot of dreams like that where you just can float 300-400 feet at a time right over the treetops, and you're just like, wow, I can soar. This is amazing.
I have a lot of dreams about flying.
Yeah.
So like I cup my hands and I can catch the air and fly. I gotta paddle wicked hard if I don't have a piece of paper between my hands. I can do it with just my hands. So I'm bounding down the street, and the next thing I know, I'm like bounding with my buddy. And I don't know this guy. This guy's like a pretty militant guy, you know, strong, good build, and we're kind of laughing about things. And we're like hopping off of like stop awnings and lamp posts, and dreams and video games go. And we get to this place where it's like kind of big security, like concrete walls and very industrious. And now we have a mission, like this just like intuition, this innate sense of knowing there's a mission that needs to be accomplished, and we need to break into this facility, which apparently we both worked at some point in the past, more recently than me.
And make breaking it easier.
Yeah. And
nice.
Like climbing up pipes and stuff and hop out, like it's easy to break in, really easy. We're good at it. And we're like, we have to get to the top of this tower. And we get in the tower. And this tower is like a highly guarded security thing, but because we chose just the right time, there's nobody up there. And in the center of it is this like 15-foot by 15-foot room. And it's like a ball pit. There's like guns and wire and shit. And we're up at the top of this tower, crow's nest. And we have to do something in that. We have to like get something in there. Yeah. That ball pit is not a ball pit, it's a bomb pit. There's a bunch of bombs in there and like weird mechanical devices, but they're not all explosive, only some of them. And it's time sensitive. We have to do this. And he's kind of like fucking around, like looking at stuff. I'm like, we got to get this done. I'm like in the bomb pit. And then I realized like, we're running out of time. I got to bury myself in bombs. And there's like not really enough bombs to totally bury me and hide myself. So then he's like trying to get in the bomb pit. And he's like, dude, we got to bury ourselves in bombs so they can't find us. I'm like, what do you think I'm doing? I'm half covered in bombs. And he's like, but we got to make sure we don't get the ones that blow us up. At this point, like in my mind, I'm like, I don't know. I think that might be the answer. Like, dying under a bunch of bombs in a bomb pit sounds like it's pretty cool. Like, it's a good way to finish this whole game. And it's like, to me, it wasn't a game. This was like very real. As soon as I got to the tower, this dream became very cinematic, like overproduced drama action movie.
Yeah.
And like, for me, it wasn't a game. It was like, this might be, I think this is how I'm supposed to go. And so then like we're gonna get got. The guys are coming, the guards and whatever. And I'm like half buried, but I'm like definitely not buried. And one of these like muscular army guard guys, and then my buddy says, "Oh yeah, we got to watch out for the guys with the axes or something." I'm like, "What?" And this guy with this bloody axe like starts like reaching down and chopping, and I see this axe in like ultra HD high definition 4K, like this bloody gory axe that's like right there. I'm like, why is there blood all over the axe? I'm like, oh, this must be what they do. Get people in the bomb pit and chop them up. And so like grab a hold of the axe. Now him and I are struggling with it, and I got the sharp end. Like the head comes off. I'm like, okay, well, he doesn't have an axe anymore.
That's good.
Everybody's like kind of coming after us, and there's narration to this at this point. And I can't tell if it's like my buddy that I'm with or like just narration because I'm in a movie. But it's talking about all the stuff that's in that pit. Because the guards up there are guarding it all the time, and they're just greasy, dirty guards. They don't give a fuck. So they're empty chew cans and spit, and then in that narration of describing what that pit is and how gross it is, they're like, oh yeah, somebody upper deckered it, like defecated in it. And the bad guy that was like trying to get me in the middle of the ball pit was like, what? Gross. And then he like decided to like all ass out of there. He's like, fuck this, I ain't going in there, there's poop in there. And, and I'm like, this is my opportunity. And there was like a doorway window in the ball pit. And so after he was like, fuck that, I'm not touching poop, and he leaves, I'm like, up and I run. And I like jump through the window, and now there's like the balcony of this tower. And right in front of me, there's like a ladder with like looped pool ladder rings that go down the bottom of the tower.
Very convenient.
Yeah. Instead of going down the ladder, I just run full sprint and jump. Just full send off of it. And at this point, I'm not a video game thing that can do jumps. I'm a regular human with a courageous act. And when I jump, now all of a sudden this big tower is on a battleship, and we're out in the middle of the ocean. So it's like 150 feet or so. And I'm just, and I've never jumped 150 feet, but I've jumped pretty high. And I've had a lot of like heart and stomach and the like all that jumble thing. Like I know the feeling, and it was intense, and it felt real. And it's nighttime too, and I just dive off the boat, and I'm like, I got a pencil dive because like cannonball is probably gonna blow my butthole apart, and if I don't pencil dive, and I like spread my legs, it'll blow my balls off. And I'm like, pencil dive. Then how long do I hold my pencil dive? This is all going through my mind. as I'm like gasping for multiple breaths because it's a big jump. And I dive in and like the bubbles, and then it goes black. I'm now down in the ocean and I'm thinking, and at this point, I sort of fell back asleep because there's nothing. It's black. Like there is no dream.
So that hit like when you were in the ball pit in your dream there, the bomb pit in your dream there, and then there was some shit. The other guy takes off because of the shit, and you stood up and you were like, I'm gonna make this shit my shit. And you rode with it and you took off. It was like, you gotta eat shit to get anywhere in life. If you run away from the shit, you're never gonna kill that guy in the bomb pit you need to get rid of.
Right.
If you rise up and take it, maybe you'll get out of the bomb pit.
The longer you eat shit sandwiches, better it's gonna taste when you come up for air.
Yeah.
And the weird happens after this. Is like it's the end of the dream, right? I jumped in, went super deep. I pencil dove, stubbed my toe in the Titanic or something. I don't know. But then a few minutes later, I start to see like kind of almost like psychedelic, like lighter colors and like shadows and things. And I'm like, only on my upper half of my vision, not on the bottom half. So then I'm like, wait a minute, I think I'm floating back up. How long have I been holding my breath? I probably can't do this very much longer. So I'm like, I gotta swim. So I'm like, trying my hardest to paddle up. And I'm like starting to see like, I'm like, what do I see? Is this like a village or something that I see from below? Like, you know, like those European villages with all the, I didn't know what I saw. But that's what I was assuming. Because also while I was pencil diving, I was like, if I position my body just right, maybe I can like pencil dive under the boat. And there was a big thing I was thinking. I didn't want to pop back up and then they just see my head and they shoot me.
Right.
So then I pop back up, and as I'm coming up, I'm like running out of breath. And then as soon as I like come out, like big gasps of air, and it was like, this is a very real thing for me. Like I know it was a dream. In real life, I know it was a dream, but it was super real. And I'm gasping for breath. And the first thing I really see is this woman's face. Like she's floating in the water next to me. She's redhead, and she's kind of like she just came up too, sort of. And I'm like, oh, and then all at once, I'm with this woman in this cottage trying to reconstruct reality. And like my face is, as I was coming up, right before I came up, I saw me in a movie theater watching this movie, narrating the movie. That's how I knew that I was coming. That's how I knew I had to swim to get back to the top. But the me I saw was not exactly my body. It was like a skewed version of me. Like maybe it's my half brother. And then it goes back to me. So I saw me for just a brief moment in the movie theater and identified it as me. Come back up. I see this lady, the narrator, which is me in the movie theater, says that my face is 7 degrees. Says that my face is really cold, but my body is a little bit warmer. I'm like, okay, so maybe the water wasn't freezing cold. I know it was cold, but it wasn't freezing cold. And I'm in like my boxers. That's it. And I'm in this like nice, cozy little cabin, very rustic. And there's this like glowing, hazy aura around everything ish. Kind of like my dirty lens right now on my on my selfie camera. And there's this girl in this little nice, like soft, light dress, which is the girl the face that I saw when I came out. And she's like kind of like creepy talking to me, like a whisper, creepy, kind of eerie. And she said that my face is 7 degrees, which is cold, by the way, specifically 7, because her and I were making out for like 20 minutes and she's dead. I'm like, okay, like I just come out of the water. I'm like, saw this face, and next thing I know, I'm in a cabin with this girl, trying to figure out reality. I'm like, what is going on? What happened? How did I get here? She said that she took me and held me under the waterfall so that they didn't catch me, and that's where we were making out for like 20 minutes, and she's dead, and that's why my face is so cold, because she was frozen. and I'm like, still not totally like, I'm listening to her and trying to be conscious, but I'm also trying to put all the pieces of reality back together. And I'm looking at my toes, and my big toe is really looking like, not like it got chopped up or something, but like it's not my toe. And it's got like a stubby nail, and it's like it's not my toe that I've been seeing for 34 years. I'm like, when did this? I understand how things can, like, stuff it in a boot too long, and like you can misshape your body, you can contort it. I get it. I would have noticed, I think. How did I not notice it? That was the first time I'm noticing my toes funny looking right now. And then I realized that my whole body is a little bit different, and that wasn't like big a deal. That was normal. And there was a seashell. Everything around this little cottage is like some sort of like sentimental thing, like specially placed there, has a purpose, and there's a seashell sitting on like a little cloth on the floor where I'm sitting, and I'm looking at it, and I can see all the different layers and the ribs, and like a clamshell. That's what it was. You can see like the different growth layers, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, it was shaped a little bit funny, and I'm like, in my haze, I'm like, is this a toenail? Is it? And I'm just obsessed with the fact that my toes don't look right, and I'm like, why is my toenail so stubby? Why are my feet ugly? And I finally started reconciling what happened. My toe looks like this. This is not a toenail with a toenail root, which is what I thought the rest of the clamshell was. That was what toenail roots look like. And then, like, after I understood that I made out with this dead girl, she's there talking to me all creepy and telling me what's going on, I woke up. I'm like, wait a minute. I went up into this tower, and I was like, this is how I'm supposed to die. As I was laying in that pile of bombs, I was like, I think this is how I'm supposed to die. And then in an instant, a little scuffle, and then I dart and I jump off this tower and I dive into the water. And I think that few minutes where it went black, I died. And when I came back up, I was in a totally different body, but it was still me, and I recognized it as me. Right? And this dream was so real. That girl that I was kissing didn't make a lot of sense, but like when I told Kaylee, she was like, "Oh, mad at me for making out with a dead girl in my dream." And like, yeah, she didn't understand. Like, it wasn't even me. Different body. Can't be mad at me.
Maybe in a next or a past life. That makes sense.
What a wild dream, though.
Dude, that's a trip, man. Like, how much chocolate did you have?
None. Really? Yeah.
That's an experience.
Yeah, and you gotta like, then you do with the thought of like, is like reality is 100% subjective. It's only as it's perceived. My reality in that moment, as me, was that was life. That was life or death fight. That was as real as it gets. that was me in my life. Like, I didn't hear you. You broke up.
Yeah, like even if it's not a real thing that actually happened, if your mind believes and is there and it is a thing, that's a thing. You
It's
went
real to
through
you. It's
all the experience and emotion that would have created.
subjective truths. Like,
Yeah.
what's true to me isn't necessarily true to you. It's the same experience, but we experienced it subjectively differently. And so you got to wonder, like, we need sleep or we'll die. Right? I mean, I don't know. You know anybody that doesn't sleep at all? Ever?
Not at all ever.
Right. I know people who sleep very little. That's different than not at all ever. I think
Yeah,
there's a
not at all ever.
documentary on one guy who like doesn't sleep or something. He just started not sleeping one day. And then he's other weird brain things. But yeah, you have to sleep. And you got to wonder if like the dream world is more real than the real world. Like what we call the real world. Like maybe this is the dream and we are required to go to sleep, check in with real life every night to see how we're doing. It's like you're playing a video game. Mom says you have to shut it off at this time. And it's like, okay, mom, shuts it off and like goes and does his homework, eats his meal, he eats dinner with the family, comes back, okay, I'm ready for the next day.
Yeah. That could very well be the case.
Like,
There's a lot of power there.
Yeah, we don't know. I mean, it's a fun idea. Like maybe dreams are part of the glitch and the crossing over, because like it seems like, at least for me, dreams are only at the tail end of sleep, or maybe right when you first start sleeping. Like you don't at least remember dreams from the middle of your sleep, only when you're like barely sleeping.
Yeah.
So like maybe a dream is like static between real life and real life.
Yeah. Transition back in and out.
Yeah, where the possibilities are like,
anything can happen. What's going on? Which body are you supposed to be in?
right.
Where's your mind supposed to plug back into? Are you this, that? Which reality are you?
That,
Maybe you're just flashed between all the different realities. You're just scrolling on your way back to your mind. And you're just going by everybody's
potential. The wave particle potential is like, this is all the reality. You can jump so good now.
Yeah. I mean, in a world that we live in now, where most of the world that we see, deal, and interact with every day is man-made and not natural, the world that we enter when we're asleep is actually more natural to our animal self, whatever we are, than the world that we actually live in.
Well, I mean, it's debatable because like it's a feedback loop. You create your environment, and in return, the environment creates you. So like it's as natural as it gets. You are the feedback loop. You are your environment. I mean, understand life the way that I believe life works. You are everything. I are everything. You have the same I that I have when you talk about I. We are the same I.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah, and
same center connect.
Yeah, yeah. It's like there's one central consciousness, one life form, separated by individual egos, especially when you're talking about humans. Different expressions of life. I am one expression of life. You are one expression of life, but we are the same life. It's the same force that pushes us, pushes the universe. Like there's no difference between, okay, we can quantify plenty of differences between things, but I think that's subjective, you know. It's like I was gonna say there's no difference between me and you, but like we can count them on one hand.
But if you go like down and put a microscope on it, there's no difference at all.
Right. It's a difference, 100%. And I think that's different expressions of life. The difference between you and I is proximity. because you zoom in on my hand and you're like, one entity, 5 fingers. You zoom in even further and it's, oh, it's one finger. And then there's individual entities. And then you zoom in even more and you forget about the other entities, and then you start looking at individual cells, and they all appear to have their own little jobs and their own careers, and they all communicate. And then you get into the cells, and like you got mitochondria, you got all the things. When all different, all scales, it's like life is a fractal.
Yeah.
And it's like, from our perspective, from this scale, you and I are individuals. If we zoom out even further, humans are just another complex form of mold. Like any other, like, mold is, I think, the best way to describe it. And it's like we all have our own individual jobs and individual careers and motives, and we're all communicating and doing our best at lifing. And I think that as a whole, we're just one organism being expressed individually. Like, we feel like we're important, but we're not. We're just one big giant thing. What are you doing?
I had to plug phone in.
Oh, okay.
5% batteries. Like, trying to see if phone charger reaches mountable location. Anything at all. I'm not sure. Yeah, so we got to readjust the pots and pans.
Okay. Like, you keep talking anyways. Like, you see, it's not that great, but you see like old food in the fridge or something, and it's covered in mold. You don't see thousands of individual spores, and you don't see on the molecular level where it all has its individual jobs, and it's all communicating with each other and carrying on tasks and trying to perpetuate its species. And what you see is one pile of mold on something else, you know, on an object. Like we're mold on the earth, and we're just doing our best to perpetuate what we've got going on. And we're gotta get nice and close, because I know you're just repositioned.
Mold. Yes.
Right. Yeah, we're like a fancy complex mold. So to think that we came from a single-celled organism that landed in the ocean on a comet and evolved into a complex form of mold is not that big a stretch. It's all just perspective on different scales. The further in you go, I think it was Alan Watts, old philosopher, that said that the reason when we keep going in on the smaller level, the reason why we keep finding smaller and smaller things, because we are the ones doing the slicing. We're like, if you keep cutting something in half, you're gonna keep getting smaller bits.
Yeah.
So it's our conscious effort that's doing the slicing to make it smaller. And then we're just giving it a label. Like, we cut an atom in half, and now all of a sudden we're like, oh, what are neutrinos? And like, we found something smaller. No, you made something smaller. Like, something smaller exists, and it wasn't there. Like, nothing exists until it's been perceived, right? Yeah. So I think it's all just scales. Like, everything is the same life force, and it's learning about itself, and it needs to plot data in points in space. Like, space-time is literally just a memory card. It's plotting data through black holes, through wormholes, because every single proton is a black hole. And a black hole is just an entanglement to another point of data, which another proton, or potentially electron, or there potentially may only be one electron. But in, that just like races around and is everywhere when you need it. Like maybe life is the electron doing the work. How crazy is that to think? Like if structure of life is space-time that is quantum foam, because space is actually everything and infinite energy, and matter is the absence of energy, the absence of stuff, because it's a black hole. Every atom is a black hole. So maybe there is one electron, and maybe the electron is just racing through the quantum foam, doing work at an infinite speed. And everything it does and interacts languages, because life, I think, is language, and language is just communication, and that doesn't have to be words. Any interaction between things, between two things, because duality exists in every realm. That one electron is racing through the quantum foam, languaging with everything it encounters, needs to plot data points for every piece of language. And the new data point becomes a black hole or a connection to other existing black holes. Why my memory is locational based. When I'm in a certain location, I make associations that immediately jump me back to, back in 97 when I was here and we played on the playground or whatever. Like immediately go right back to like I was in that day when I walk onto that playground. And because you jumped into that neurological network, the universe's neurological network, which is the quantum foam. And I think I might have just figured out that we are the one electron that races through space, because nobody's ever been able to find the electron, and there is a theory that there's only one.
Real.
Maybe life is the one electron racing through foam, creating data, which is holes in the infinite energy field, which is space, the absence of matter.
Yeah.
That's why the universe is expanding at an exponential rate, because every point of data interacts with itself, which creates another data point, which is another black hole, which pokes another hole and pushes the ball bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So the universe is expanding at an exponential rate because we're a friggin' electron, dude.
Science figured, done.
Wow, I'm a genius.
You got it.
Now, for this expression of life, I would like to figure out how to monetize that, please. Because money makes freedom a lot easier in this world that I'm currently in right now.
The money/freedom balance is the hard one.
Yeah, that's all money is. Money just buys freedom.
If used properly.
Yeah, used properly. Otherwise, you get caught into the money trap and you just want more, more, more. Like,
money's a tricky game with like that.
Yeah, I hate money.
And so you can get out. You don't dive in, you'll never get out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a balance. Like I remember, you got the time, you ain't got the money. You got the money, you ain't got the time. And it's a more thing. I think. I don't know. I haven't had too much of it yet.
I have not either. I believe the point of it is to be able to stop thinking about it.
Yeah. The point should be, I don't have to look at what the item costs on the menu. I want it because it's good.
Just do stuff that I like doing and it's all okay.
Yeah.
Never an issue. I never have to think about what it costs. I just live and life and it's great.
Right.
That's the right amount of money to have. Whatever that number is, depends on your lifestyle, of course, but that's the sweet spot. Living, doing what you want to do, not thinking about what it costs in this day and age to live how you want to live.
Right. I think that life has a game-like quality. And there are certain things your attention to, like most people apply their efforts towards money. They, trade their time for money. But like a lot of people figured out the money game. Money's not their quest anymore. Like it's a game. They conquered it. They know how to do it. Like some people just making money happens just by them existing. And that's
Yeah.
cool. They're still on a quest. Now that they've got the money figured out, they have a level of freedom a lot of people don't have to pursue their happiness. And I think that I've done enough internal work where I think that my pursuit of happiness is found within the creative process. And if I structure and guide it correctly, that creative process, the side effect, can have a financial return. But still working on that. Still working on me.
Yeah.
Trying to be a better me every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's the ultimate goal. Is like, find where your happiness is and figure out how to make that make you money. But like, I think that such a cliche thing, like, do what makes you happy. But I think that it needs to be more specific, because like, it's a cliche statement, and I think because of that, it never actually hits people. Like, go deep, figure out what actually makes you happy, like where you find it, where you curate it, curating happiness, I think, is the word. And like I said, mine comes from the creative process. And like, it's not about having the thing, it's not about completing the task, it's about the process of creating. And once it's created, it's worth something on the market. So get rid of it, move to the next thing. For me right now, like, we're doing content, we're doing creative content, building cool things, but like, it's also building chassis, we're building axle housings. I tried building shocks for a little bit. That was a big failure. But I don't even want to get into the shock thing. I'm so pissed off about that guy.
So as a creator, though, you are doing what is the very source of life, which is by creating something that's never been done, you're expanding the universe.
Well, every language, every languaging, every communication between every single thing is expanding it. So even if I was a lump of potato, like, I'm still gonna maybe creating and reaching more people, potentially be putting effort and discipline into life, regardless of what it is, whether you create, I think is going to expand the universe faster than not putting effort and discipline into it.
Yes.
Reasonable thought.
Absolutely.
But I think the feedback loop is to create a system, sustainable system that feeds happiness. And for me, financially leverage my creative process, because my creative process is the happiness. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Happy.
Got to leverage it in that way, where it's tilting and feeding without issue.
Choose happiness. It's not easy necessarily. Learn what makes you happy and feed it. Like, if you know this makes you happy, like true happy, feed that.
Yeah,
Like,
true is the key.
True happy. True happy is on the inside. Surface level happy is on the outside, usually.
True happy, it takes time, and it takes sacrifice, and it takes having less to understand where true happy comes from.
Right. You got to face all your demons and realize that you were a piece of shit in high school, and probably go find that kid and apologize to him. Like, it's not for him, it's for you.
Right. You gotta clean the slate.
Yeah.
You gotta move forward. Find yourself.
Yeah.
Because like the you we have in our heads till at least mid-adolescence, somewhere between 16 and 29 is supposed to be a completely gray, wasted area of time. Not wasted in the way that none of it matters. It matters that you go somewhere far enough to get to yourself. And you got to get out of yourself and get the person that you think you are in your head out of your head so you can find yourself, because most of what's in our head to that time frame is what's happened to us not necessarily what we've been able to create and strive towards for ourselves.
Right. I think that that's, again, subjective, though. Like, I'm not disagreeing with it, but I think that when you're 55 years old, you're going to say the same thing about this upcoming time span that you're in.
Totally.
You know,
It's an important phase to hit well to get to that true happiness feeling, or figuring out where true happiness comes from. The age really doesn't matter.
yeah, I really wish that it was like encouraged and taught, like, globally, go inside when you're young. I only started going inside when I was like early 20s, like
Same.
really going in. Like, I've always been aware, and like I'm a human, and like I know what I feel and I know why, and I like try to get better, but I only started really looking at me like as the cause in my early 20s. So like, if I had that foundation as a child, like how much further along in this process I would be.
Absolutely.
And
To
again,
know there's another side is
Yeah.
big.
again, at the same time, like you said, it's about the process. It's not about getting there. So does any of it matter?
Nope.
No.
Matters that you figured it out before you use the whole life, though. That's the important thing. You figured out before you left here that going in was a real thing and tried to charter some depth in that field.
I think that's a very optimistic view, but I disagree. Because I don't think it matters. Because like once you figure it out, like we figured it out, we still haven't figured it out. We still got to try it and prove it, and then go, okay, well, I figured that part of it out. And then there's the next, got to figure it out. There's milestones. It's like, so I don't think it matters that you figured it out. It's great that you figured it out. Now figure out the next milestone.
But hopefully, if you figure it out while you're here, you don't have to do the same lessons the next time around, if that's a thing.
Yeah, no, yeah, I don't buy into that. I think that it's all the same lessons over and over and over and over.
I think
mean,
they, to a degree,
yeah,
they have a circulating effect. But
Yeah.
I would hope that as we mature and make better decisions, maybe the challenges or the difficulties we face are slightly more because of growth than just because of bad decision making.
I think the purpose of life is to grow.
Yeah.
And growth isn't always positive.
Often comes from the most negative.
Yeah.
Like
Growth.
always. Almost.
Like the universe grows, but there's a duality exists in every realm. So like when there's a subjectively positive thing here, subjectively negative thing in the opposite direction, like I think the purpose is just to grow. Like to create a bigger system is all life is here for.
Yeah.
More data points.
Continue to expand.
Because a black hole is an infinite nothing, right? You want to look at it that way? And space is infinite everything, infinite energy. Two infinities, duality, extreme ends. You want to make it bigger? Put a bunch of holes in the infinite.
Pushes it out.
Pushes it out.
Glad we had figured all the science out tonight.
Yeah, this is fantastic. Now we know how life works. Having a great time.
Nailed it.
Well, hey man, the first part of this was pretty clunky. I had a lot of fun. And it's like there's no point to Deathwish Disciples. It's just to shoot shit. And you and I always have great conversation. It's a little bit to get the flow, but I had a good time. I talked a lot, but I think that's what it took to get us moving.
Yeah, absolutely. All good progress.
I'm signing off for real.
All right, man. Good talking to you.
Good talking to you too.